I like seeing the gray in my beard. It's cool. I aged really well. It's because I knew early they told you to smile because it'd ruin your face. I don't smile often and never big. And look at my skin. Not nearly as I'm like 40 almost. And my skin is really good compared to most people's because I didn't fall for their tricks. Anyway, uh yeah, I want to talk about the importance of like pneumatics versus individual motors. A normal drone. So these are all unique motors, right? Still flies. I'm waiting for it to cool down. Like, as sad as losing my scooter was, I honestly wasn't going to be able to ride it in this heat. Yeah. I ride my scooter at night, which is why I just bought like a whole reflective set. I bought all this like USB-C rechargeable clothing. I think with USB recharging, selling batteries is illegal. Like, so many of these businesses stay in business because it'd be like a catastrophic loss if they disappeared. So holographic money is like your basic assurance. It's such a good idea. You waste so many thousands upon thousands of dollars for social programs when you could just give the person the money directly, right? So it's 333 per person a day. There's no decimals, so it comes down to $3.33. There's no tax. Government's capped at 666. It's going to be the moneyest money you ever had. It's going to be like guilt-free awesome money. Yeah, there's no law. The AI just like does the integrity of it. The AI should be like watching for duping attempts and stuff like that. People trying to jinx it or hoax it. Yeah, the AI should just like be smart enough to catch them, and so it can like verify things and control the transactions in a way that no one can be really robbed. You know what I mean? Uh, I'm fine with printing the money, but it should disappear when it's printed. It should be really special to have like a physicalized copy of it. It should be like a cool collectible. And especially if they're annotated for time and date, then it's going to be awesome. But anyway, the problem that I have with your current system is that you have these four motors. You basically recreate the same motor on all four arms. And what you should do instead is you should have a centralized intake up here so it sucks up. And you can cover it with like a dome, like something like this, right? So it's not a, basically you want it to be curved in such a way that anything that hits it slides off instead of getting sucked in, which on a dome it would be good enough for any bird. Any bird would cover like a sixth of it at most, and it would honestly not be vacuumed onto it. It would slide off due to air. So anyway, what you do is you have a centralized intake, right, that sucks air down, giving it a small amount of lift up. But what really happens is that the air travels through gas tubes to spin propellers with pneumatics. So it's like, look at the Tesla valve, right? So you have one engine instead of four, and you use gas tubes to spin the propellers. And then you just like have to, then you can have like a circular outlet that can like rotate to control which arm gets what. And that's the new way you do it. And my preferred way, even beyond that, is to drop the pneumatics and to use pressurized air to fly. You have an intake that maybe it's up here, but it could also like have vents down here and stuff to suck in. And then you use pressurized air to float yourself. So it's going to be like an ultralight plastic body, minor electrical. It's not nearly, this system is way less electrical. You could even have it where like the arms have no electrical arm on them, or there are no arms and you're like a sphere, a floating sphere, where it's like intakes and outlets are separated by, I'm sure there's like a mathematical point where it's perfect. And so it can float itself by controlling where the air is coming out. I think that's way better than propellers. And especially as goofy as this is, like the propellers fold. They have like, I think that's goofy. And these things sound stupid. Have you heard a DJI drone fly? It's annoying. Yeah. The DJI lift kit only works at 100 meters, and it has a remote controller that has an inborn battery that can't be recharged with USB-C. I want to throw it. Why are you selling products today that require a battery and can't be charged with a USB? That makes no sense. It really is annoying, like how we still use fuel. Can you get better at canceling old? You really went with, let's just make another billion batteries. Who cares? We'll just throw them away. Really? You did that? That's annoying to me. That pisses me off. So we're not being stupid anymore. I'm going to help being one of the arbitrators going, this is dumb or this is smart. What's dumb is working in there's no money for anybody average. The money gets printed. Like all the major businesses that survive have billion-dollar bailouts because the money's backwards, so gold wins. The money's printed at your debt and tax and only for war. And it's done so the real government can just party. And as long as you're like, I'll just accept it and work with it, you're a loser. Yeah, you have to challenge people who try to rob you. Hey, you're going to owe me for using this money. No, I won't. You have to do that. I will not, Hey, we're going to heaven. You just got to circumcise your kids. You were so interested in going to heaven. You did it. Your ancestors, yeah. The people who were brave and resisted the government were purged a long time ago, and all that are alive today are sycophants. People who will just go with whatever they want. So, yeah, you should drop the multiple arms. You should drop the 4 unique motors on each propeller for a centralized intake and pneumatics. Pneumatics is where you use an air tube to spin an inner mechanism, right? So there's one pressure generating motor, and then all the arms take the outlet, and however much air you allow them is how fast and much thrust they give. It's way easier than making 4 motors for each arm, which, by the way, the thing sounds annoying. And so what you want instead of a super high-powered motor is you want to have a gear exchange that gets the maximum, spin out of it. It should have, it's fine if it starts accelerating slowly, but when it's fully going, you should have a tremendous amount of air pressure. And I would prefer it with no propellers, where it's just like this thing, instead of just being radar, would be like a tube and it sprays down, and then it has maybe out vents up here and down here, so it can adjust its where it is. I think you only need 4, because no matter what angle it's at, you'd be able to spin, you'd be able to push one of them. Even if it's like this, you could spin 2 of them to make it go right. So you really only need 4. I think a sphere would be really good, where it's you have a centralized intake all over, and then you have outlets all over. And there's also methods for self-generated energy. I think energy field modulation will teach you how to make something that floats. Science came back with they were successful in that. So yeah, I kind of stepped into my leader role. A leader is just kind of brings up the major subjects and talks about them. Yeah, I've dismissed the current world economy as a gold empire slave hoax. And I have encouraged all the male genital mutilation victims to look for basically private harems hidden underground and to invade them like they owe us. They do. And then after that, we can do holographic money in the AI spaceship core. So you've made huge strides with metallic glass. I think you're literally going to be able to have something that gets its own energy source and can create objects from nowhere with the rigidity of bulletproof glass or better. And I even think you'll be able to, going small, I think you're even going to be able to get so strong you can fly through the sun. So it's about, here's what it is. It's Supreme Tech takes the perspective of what is maximally possible and doesn't look to nature for a structure guide. It considers nature as just the rough dross stuff, and that the real source has a way better situation than we seem to have, right? So that's my belief. That's why I can do the art I can do, is I skipped the physical world. So Tesla recommended that too.